Hello, brethren and sisters. I'll come once again to bring you forth the love and understanding as I understand it from the word of our Father, John, who continues to bless us and love us in all our doings until he brings us forth rest. Uh, I know in my last video in the beginning, I talked about how the Lord loved us enough to bring us the heavens and the earth, and that was the beginning of all the understanding that we have gathered. Even though some things of understanding may not be correct, but this is what we know thus far, even though there is much, much more to be learned, as long as we try not to destroy what is there. Now, in Genesis, the Lord states, the word states, and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. Now, that's a very interesting, very, very interesting verse, which is Genesis chapter 1, verse 2. Now, the earth, heaven and earth was created by our Father. No one's seen it but He. And there was water there. He had the water there. He made the water that we see in the various parts of the world. That's so much that we can't even imagine how much there really is. Excuse me. Um, so, but one thing it says that the Spirit of the Lord moved upon the face of the waters. And to me, that's why water is one of the most beneficial things to man. We can we can live all our days without ever having any coffee, soda, or any other drink, but we must have water because it it has the Spirit of God on the waters, and that hasn't changed. His Spirit is still upon the water. That's why we are our bodies are required to have water. Now, as and it says that darkness was on the face of the deep. Darkness being on the face of the deep. Now, if you ever looked in a deep place, even to this day, anything that is deep, the farther, the deeper it is. Deep means going under. If you dug a hole, if you just drilled a hole, just so far, just a small, say 1 foot by 1 foot by 1 foot hole, as far as you could, you might see some light, but the farther you go down, the darker it is. Someone said, well, of course, that's light refractions, not getting to the bottom. Well, you can, I mean, that's an analytical theory of why light isn't there. But light wasn't intended to be on the darkness, on the deep, on the face of the deep. You know, you know, of course, the Lord could have put light there. Our Father could have put light in the deep, underneath, underground, or at the bottom of the ocean, if He chose to, just as He did with the sky. Now, this is just how miraculous our Father is. Now, darkness doesn't mean negativeness. See, many people have been told that darkness is a form of things that are negative, things that are bad, things that are ugly, are not so beautiful, things that are unwanted. But you know, this is the things that they're saying or that we hear that tend to change so many people's mind and make them feel so bad about things is the very things that the Lord created Himself. This is thing when the Lord created the earth and the deep, all that was created. All that was created together. So He understood it was dark. But if you look at the dark is what brings forth life. I mean, and the light helps helps grow the life into the dark, but still the it takes that darkness to bring forth light. It's just similar to when you sleep at night and there's a dark light or no light or low light, you get a good night's rest. And then when the light comes, it wakens you up and you get up and you go about your way. Yet, and then the waters that we drink are what we have. We if we drink up drinking water, that we may feel a lot better. Or if we even if we drink a Coke or coffee or some other form of drink, energy drink, you still must have water because those other things, the way they're processed are calculated to be enjoyable. Our bodies may not really be enjoying them. So we have to be sure to put some fresh water in our systems so our bodies can be regulated and our health grows and our eyes look bright and so forth. Now, the deep is very deep because there is so much to be acknowledged and so much to be explained. As you know, we get the best of everything coming from the deep, from the dark, the deep, the darkness in the deep. We get the best of things, such as we get what we use for automobiles and factories from the oil and the coal, and we get the best of jewels all from the dark. We get the best everything all originates from the dark, including the good tires we use in our cars and even the materials we use for our cars. All comes from the earth. This is nothing man created. Man hasn't created much that hasn't already been created. He may have mixed and we may have mixed and recreated to make something different out of what was made, but in reality, he hasn't made anything new. Uh, you know, even as you even take electricity, you know, you know, electricity has come from the ground, and even the way electricity is generated for our homes and businesses is all coming from either the earth or the waters by a form of generating waters through a cooling generator. Uh, Yet our life is should reflect on that. All these things we're seeing is beyond our understanding. We may go to college or school or high school, and we may be in the honor society or may be nurses or doctors or engineers or other specialists, and yet we've only been taught some understanding that man has gained from the earth. He hasn't really truly, he's kind of like, oh, well, if A minus O is a certain thing, then A minus O is always that certain thing because it's what we've determined it being. But yet it may be missing so much more that we don't even have a clue of why things don't exactly always turn out the way it does. such as side effects from medicines. Uh, as most of us know, that most medicines are extracts of different plants and maybe some other things I'm unaware of. And then, of course, the medicines gives us a lot of side effects, and because we're not getting the whole food or the whole plant, and which contains in the whole plant is active and inactive ingredients that they're not putting in the medicines, and those active and inactive ingredients regulate one another, so it'll normalize and balance and have the alkaline that it needs. But what's been done is we've extracted the active part from, say, the castor bean or castor, what's known as castor oil. We've extracted the castor, the oil coming from the bean, but there may be something else in the bean that was overlooked that may even be more beneficial to us. Um, and to for those that may not have an understanding of what I'm saying is, what I'm saying about that is, say for instance, some may say our heart is the active ingredients of our lives. And as long as our heart is beating, then it's the active ingredient that keeps us going. So what we do is, well, we want to take the active ingredient, which would be your heart, and we'll give you your heart. And so you have the active ingredient that's going to keep you going. So, okay, you have another heart, but then if you don't have the other things that go along with that particular heart, then you'll become deformed or defective. Or say, well, if a heart is active, but then if it doesn't have a body, arms or eyes or ears or other things it needs to regulate, then it's really a worthless thing, and you'll find trouble from it because it can't regulate or be in a certain body or a certain place because it wasn't meant to be. It's not like an automobile where parts are interchangeable. The human body is not an interchangeable thing. I mean, even though we interchange parts and blood and other fluids in our bodies, these things are truly not 100%. That's why, you know, some people might say, I want this liver, I need a liver, I need a kidney, I need a heart, I need this or I need that, I need new eyeballs, you know. So we get these things to try to um, make another person feel better about themselves, but in actuality, they'll never feel the same as they did when they had their whole selves. And the reason being is because something was missed, but this is the best we have at the time, which is understandable to a certain degree. But then, too, I believe that some things we should be careful with, especially when it comes to adding active ingredients. That's why there's so many side effects to medicines, and because of the things that were missed in the original form of plant that we generate the medicine from, which may include, some mineral or something that was in the plant that we got, but we knew that this one thing was the active muscle in that plant. So we extracted and synthesized and multiplied this extract, and so here's what you need, and then you take this thing, this active ingredient, and yet it's not complete because it's missing so much more. Those active ingredients that help settle that active ingredient. You know, it may be doing a certain thing that's unheard of or unknown. You know, just like we look at the earth, go outside, look at the dirt. We don't see the dirt doing anything. You know, what is it doing? But the earth has minerals, it has vitamins, it has energy. in the earth. That's how lightning comes from the earth. There's volcanic activities in the earth. There's water in the earth. The earth, there's, you know, bugs that live in the earth. So we go on living this life that things are not complete or that they don't mean anything, and they truly do. And because that's the way our Father has created them. And until we can analyze what He's telling us, then we can just, I could just pick up the Bible and just read and read and read and say, oh, we're going to read Genesis, the whole chapter 1 of Genesis, and blah, 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 blah. And then read the whole Bible 2 or 3 times, but never broke it down to have an understanding of what's being said to you. So as long as you don't have any clue what the first verse is saying to you, or the second verse, or any verse, you go from one chapter to the next chapter, one verse in this chapter to another verse in another chapter, you it'll be truly hard for you to understand what's being said to you unless you go back over what's been said and start from the beginning. Just like when you go to school, for those of us have been to school, when we go to school, we start out at the beginning of the book. Occasionally you'll have an instructor or teacher who will skip a chapter and move on to another chapter of the following chapter. It could be possibly that they don't understand themselves, or maybe they have time restraints and don't feel that that one chapter is that important. And those, of course, I know those that have been to universities and colleges, we definitely know that our instructor or professor will have a lecture, and you may not even understand what he's saying completely, but he or she will continue to talk and talk and talk until his time is done, and say for your next class, read the next 8, 9 chapters, and there you go, cramming all this information down your brain. And then when you come back, he's on more, and that's not including any other classes that you had. So you probably just did well enough to pass the grade and may not truly understood anything. You just may be a good memorizer, but not understanding what you've truly read. So with that being said, that's why I don't want to rush the word of the Lord, because I think that's what's being read done a lot, is that it's being rushed and pushed into people, and they may they may have been going hearing the word for years and centuries and decades and decades, and still they don't know any more than they did when they first walked through the door. So hopefully I can bring forth some understanding of how the Father truly wants us to understand things, and so we won't be hoodwinked and be deceived in a lot of areas that I feel we're being, for people who just want to make some money to do whatever they want to do, even though it's not your fault. But as we go on with this, we'll see that truth outweighs all. I'm not here, and once again, I want to make this plain and clear. I'm not here to give you an itchy ear word, where you go, oh man, that guy on the internet, he is so good. Y'all should listen to him because he just has you crying on while you're watching the internet. Because I know that people's lives are more valuable than that. And you cry for a few minutes and you go home, or you go to work, or you go wherever, and then you don't really have any difference in your life, and there's no true change that comes about in your life. So I want something positive to happen in your lives. I want us to truly understand that all that we're doing is not All the things we think that makes us happy. See, what we do everything in the middle. We do everything in the middle looking for happiness. You know, whether it comes from, in my opinion, whether it comes from buying new clothes or shoes or partying or drinking or uh, getting many women or many men or making X amount of money. All that stuff never really, or getting all kinds of education and degrees and saying you're this or you're that is all a part of a form of trying to be happy. But all we're really looking for is the Father. That's what will truly make us happy, because that's what we're trying to get to is to the Father, and we're trying to do all the things in between that we think that'll make us happy, and that happiness isn't coming. You won't find it. It's not there because everything in that middle is nothing but vanity. That's all it is, just vanity. It's just everything just in vain for the most part. You know, we do more. To me, many people do more vanity things than they do just seeking the Lord. You know, because He is our help. He's where our help comes from. And until we get understanding of that, it doesn't matter whether you're making $1 million a year, or $10 million a year, or just struggling on what is known as the minimum wages. Uh, I actually feel that people that's on the minimum wages may be more susceptible to hear this than those who think that they're on the top of the world, because they're not, and because they don't know what happiness is. You know, they think they have it all. You know, they've been to school. You know, we had some schooling, and and then you know, for my brothers and sisters who've had schooling, and you know, they've learned so much and studied so hard, only to find themselves have failed. They have failed and don't understand how they fail. Some of them do understand how they fail, but don't understand what caused them to fail. Well, I got a word for you. God bless you, my brothers and sisters, in the name of Jah, our Father